folks. Zach Elliott. Feel free to argue. It seems that I have been tagged by I'm Just a Girl. And she wants me to talk about worst teachers and worst school policies. So let's dive right in. One explanatory note. First, I just wanted to say that I am not going to be naming names. My reason for this is really simple. I think that whatever teacher, no matter how bad they are, they entered into their profession wanting to do something that is generally accepted to be useful. So, at least on an initial motivations level, I put teachers way beyond a whole bunch of people. Even the worst of them. So, that being said, let's talk about some experiences. For a long time, at the beginning of my school career, I was kind of a almost freakishly good kid. But this led to its own problems. I mean, aside from being picked on by my classmates who hated me for getting A's and stuff, there was the teachers who didn't know what to do with a kid who finished all the work for like the semester in the first 2 to 3 weeks of class. Some of them responded by just giving me a hall pass and saying, "Oh, well, why don't you just go read in the library?" Which, of course I enjoyed. I was kind of a bookworm as a kid anyway, but, in retrospect, I think it was hardly the right solution. Certainly didn't help my already crappy socialization skills at that point. Because I used to be horribly backward and not able to talk to people at all. I know, a little bit hard to believe now. But anyway, but that was, up until, say, middle school or so, at which point I kind of discovered slacking and rebellion. And I certainly had some awful teachers, I think especially in high school. Remember, there's one teacher that I had for an advanced algebra class who was probably one of the most genuinely cruel people I think I've ever seen in the teaching profession. I mean, he was a decent teacher as far as, like, writing a lesson plan and lecturing on the information and doing it accurately. But, God, the guy's manner with kids was just unbelievable. Just really cruel. Cruel and belittling, calling kids stupid, morons, can't believe you got that wrong. How many times have we gone over this, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And I just remember me and all the other kids just, like, being so uncomfortable, that knot you get in your shoulders, as you just hear someone else being humiliated. I mean, if you have any empathy at all, it's a painful experience. And then there was another teacher I had who was deeply religious, and this little film that we watched made passing reference, I didn't even notice it, to the myth of Jonah and the whale, and he leapt up as soon as the film was over and started lecturing us about how, the Bible was the literal truth and, there were no myths in it, etc. And I, like, raised my hands, like, church and state? He told me to, sit down and shut up, and I refused. I just kind of kept arguing the point with him. I mean, I really hated his guts anyway. I thought he was kind of a bad teacher aside from that, but this was just kind of like, I was already an atheist at this point, so it was a little bit hard for me to swallow in a school setting. But I got sent to the principal, and the principal and I had a long talk, and he pointed out where I was right and where I was wrong, and to his credit, I was really impressed by that. And the next day, that teacher had to issue the class an apology, actually, for the remarks that he made following the film. So that was actually, that person was a bad teacher, but it was really cool to actually see the school be self-correcting in the way that it was supposed to be. That was really kind of a balancing experience for me. So I just kind of wanted to mention that. In terms of policies, I actually think the most damaging policy is one that only affects schools, that is not issued by schools. And that is the way we fund them. Tying schools to property taxes basically causes the public school system to underline all of our societal problems, to codify them, to basically say that we accept them and we want them to continue. My ideal solution would be to have everybody pay into one general fund and then have every school get an equal cut of it. I mean, it's hard to argue that isn't fair. But I understand, you know, that people want to maintain their advantage. I understand that wealthy people want their kids to go to a better school. You know, if they're wealthy enough, they're going to be able to buy their way out of the public school system anyway if they want to. And I think the wealthy have so many more advantages for their kids anyway. I mean, their kids can eat healthy food with, you know, organic fruits and vegetables. I mean, do I really need to list all of the advantages that rich people have over poor people? I don't think that's necessary. I think we know what they are. And making school another one of those, I think, is just totally unnecessary. I mean, what it gets down to, really, at a fundamental level, is whether or not we care about the essential tenet of the American dream, which is upward mobility. And having schools funded the way they are now actually defeats the notion of upward mobility. It tends to keep people at their rung in the economic ladder. Aside from that, I mean, in terms of internal school policies, probably the most damaging thing is an emphasis on testing. Because testing, it's been shown over and over again that testing crowds out, an emphasis on testing crowds out deep learning and deep understanding, and it also burns kids out on education and makes them hate school. So testing is, I think an emphasis on testing is really awful. I'm actually going to link in the sidebar to one of the main proponents in the Bush administration of No Child Left Behind, and how she's basically done a complete about-face and now says that it's a terrible thing and it doesn't work and it should be abandoned. So anyway, there you go. Hopefully that was an interesting response. Thanks for including me. And I'm just a boy, and I fucking had it up to here. Take it easy.
Got it bad, got it bad, got it bad. I'm hard to teacher.